you finished it, whereas I didn't. So tell me, did the season finale, did the season of Bad Batch hit for you?
It did, but I'm also already in the bag for this kind of stuff. Star Wars: The Bad Batch, effectively just the next season of Clone Wars. Tie-ins to Clone Wars, as you'd expect, because it's a chronological sequel. Tie-ins to Rebels, in a certain sense as well, which is this a prequel. The Dave Filoni animated universe, this is just the latest entry. So I was already in on this. And I actually think, given Filoni's standards of season ones, this is towards the top, because Clone Wars season one, famously, not very good. So I liked it a lot. I think there's important distinctions, which probably makes sense for why you would, and I'm sure others may have checked out, is that this is very much uh, appreciated best if you already know everything that's going on with these animated shows. And there's fan service that's more like there's fan service that just doesn't make any sense to someone who doesn't know these other characters and stuff. So it's really much for those people that have been on the journey. And I think that that journey is continues to be more rewarding when you're already in. But if you're just kind of picking this up for the first time, yeah, I mean, then it's going to be how much mileage do you have for a children's cartoon? Because it's still a children's cartoon. So it really depends what you're looking for with this. If you're in on all the Star Wars mythos, there's still plenty here. But if you're not, then you know it's 8 hours that you might find very up and down because there are episodes that are not super plot heavy. So it really depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's where I fell out of it was obviously not watching much of the animated series beforehand. I got through like 5 or 6 episodes, and I was hoping, similar to like the Marvel shows, and we talk about one in a second, that I was gonna get some like sort of Easter eggs, maybe some things pointing to like next steps in the Star Wars world. Um, and I just felt like I wasn't really getting enough of that, and it wasn't holding my attention as a show. Obviously, like you said, it's a show made for kids, so I think if you're not in on, like you said, the characters already or some of the plots or some of the callbacks, it just kind of felt like it's a kid show and not really for me. But what did you end up like? What did you end up being most impressed with or finding
Yeah.
most enjoyable about this season?
Yeah, so there are a lot of good callbacks. I would say episode 7 and 8. And this is a common thing with Rebels, Clone Wars, now the Bad Batch is like short arcs within the season, 2 or 3 episodes max kind of thing. This episode 7 and 8, Battle Scars and Reunion, it's a 2 episode arc, and I think that's clearly the high point of the season. That's when Captain Rex, of course, comes back into the fold as expected. He was not in the trailer or anything, but people assumed he would come back, of course, from the Clone Wars. And his like relationship and conversations with Hunter, I think really does color in more stuff in terms of like the early rebellion and just like things people are like interested in. And it's just cool to see Rex. I also think the animation for these 2 episodes when you go to Baraka is really stunning. When they touch down on that planet, you see like the Star Destroyer graveyard. It's just really cool visuals. To immediately follow up that episode with Rex, he walks off into the mist and ends. The next episode, so when Crosshair finally comes back to attack them. And that's like obviously really good set pieces. But then it ends with a total surprise, which is Cad Bane, the bounty hunter, showing up for the first time on the Bad Batch, another staple of Clone Wars. And that like Old West dual gunslinger moment with Hunter is fucking sick. So I love seeing Cad Bane come. I love seeing Rex. So the Baraka stuff was really cool to me. And of course, that's another light cameo too, because Baraka was the subject of the Jedi Fallen Order video game, the first planet you go to there. So yeah, there's
Hmm.
lots of cool stuff. You see Saw in the first episode, as you said, Saw Gerrera, of course. Cham Syndulla shows up, and that's where you get young Hera from Rebels. That's probably the most like overt fan service because it's sidelining the Bad Batch while you have this episode about young Hera and her dad Cham and like how that's gonna go. And so if you hadn't watched Rebels, of which Hera is a central character, then you just have no idea what the fuck that is. You're like, oh, okay, these are other people the Bad Batch are meeting, So
Hmm.
it's like stuff like that sometimes where it's like overt, But other times where it's, oh, Fennec shows up. Well, if you didn't watch The Mandalorian, that's just another bounty hunter to you. Or
Hmm.
the Martez sisters show up from Clone Wars season 7. Like some of the stuff is totally inoffensive. I thought the Hera stuff was like, that's awesome for Rebels fans, but probably doesn't make any fucking sense to other people.
Yeah, doesn't land for anyone else,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, I mean, so where does it leave off? Does it leave off like season two is definitely coming, or?
Yeah, so they confirmed a season 2 right before the finale. And in terms of like plot and like Easter eggs and stuff, like there is, I think, key stuff at the end. Obviously, Camino gets fucking nuked basically by the Empire. Not a question people, as I said in the premiere, not a question people were overtly pondering. What happens to the cloners when the Empire decides we don't want any clones anymore? Turns out they fucking bombed the place,
Hmm.
and you see that happen. And honestly, it's really devastating. Like when they go back and you see the halls and stuff. It's like these silent scenes right before just this orbital bombardment. Really effective, honestly, especially if you had been with the clones throughout Clone Wars too. I thought that was a really good stuff and also a
Hmm.
fitting way to like put a nice stamp on season one as like a end note to then really have a branch off in new directions for season two. So I thought that was really effective. Um, Also, one of the cloners is basically kidnapped by the Empire, and like the post credits scene or pre credits end scene, she's like basically now at this Imperial cloning facility, and she gets you know introduced to this unnamed like Imperial scientist figure, who of course has the same symbol on her tunic as Dr. Pershing did in The Mandalorian when they were,
Hmm.
trying to extract who knows what from Grogu's blood, as we know. So maybe some early Imperial cloning stuff to come. Snoke stuff, who the fuck knows, right? So I think that's like a cool Easter egg to ponder, and I'm sure it'll come up over time in season two. But 2022 is actually going to be loaded for Star Wars stuff. You have Bad Batch season 2, The Mandalorian season 3, the Cassian Andor Rogue One spin-off Andor, as well as the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. For all 4 shows coming in 2022.
Which one are you most excited for?
Oh, that's tough.
Obi Wan. Come on,
It's
Ewan
got to be
McGregor.
Obi. It's got to be
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, but I'm actually quite excited for Andor the more I learn about it. Apparently Forrest Whitaker is returning as Saw, which is cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, we're gonna be talking about him in just a little bit in respect, but I've
And
liked most of what I've seen from him recently. So.
and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually encounter Cassian Andor in animated form on the Bad Batch. Plenty of room for more synergy. Look
Hmm.
for Lucasfilm, they know what they're doing on TV.